Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Service Alliance podcast. I'm Mike. This is Jason. Good morning, Jason.
How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I thought you were like, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mike Carson, your host with the Servants Alliance podcast. Yes.
You got to
I'll get
kick it
my-
off somehow, right?
Yeah, right.
I am feeling excited, hopeful, pumped today.
Hopeful. That's a good word.
Definitely hopeful.
Yeah.
Got a new man in the big house
Yeah.
taking action like never before.
Great.
And I'm excited
speech.
for it. I'm excited for all of you out there because I have a feeling business is going to be good.
I'm excited about your future.
Absolutely. At least the next few years of it.
Yeah.
So
how about Carrie Underwood though? Man, what a performance.
How poised was she when they didn't play the music?
I'm just sitting here thinking the tech guy behind the scenes is like freaking out. You know, when you're at an event like that, my brother-in-law said it best. Or not my brother-in-law, Chris Chamness. He works with Midwest Music Sound. He's getting tagged like crazy yesterday. Anyway, have a backup to the backup to the backup, right? In a situation like I'm sitting here thinking, I bet, and Chris even said it, I bet this idiot was trying to stream the background music, and that, with all these cameras, cell phones and stuff. So yeah, have a backup to the backup. But I thought above all else, that made it even more special, right? Just do it a cappella, right? That was great. That was great.
I like how she handled it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw Trump at one point, finally, he looks off to the side, and I'm like, yeah, that dude's fired.
He's getting shipped off to Iceland.
Yeah.
Wait, which one is it? Is it Greenland he's wanting to buy?
Yeah.
Make it part of the United States? Yeah, that guy's getting shipped off to Greenland.
Yep.
All
right.
That was a huge mistake.
This morning, we are talking all about vision to victory and building a winning roadmap for your business.
Yeah.
So definitely stay tuned for this. All right.
I'm perusing Facebook.
If you're if you're here for the first time or watching for the first time later, we open in prayer. We open with a Bible verse, and then we get into our topic. And let's say hi to a couple people here, and then we'll jump right into the prayer. Morning, Jeremy. Got a few of our regulars. Adam, morning. Gary.
You're still struggling with that.
I am struggling. like my brain reads the spelling, and it just doesn't go there.
Gary. Wow.
Jerry. All right.
Have you ever met him in person?
There's no one. Gasper.
Have you ever met him in person?
Gasper. I have not.
Okay,
well, I may have. Just
he's gonna punch you if you realize that. He's gonna punch
this guy. I don't know. Met this guy too many times.
Yeah. Wow.
Andrew, morning.
Mike Brokaw making the appearance today. Yes.
Professional playback systems are supposed to be redundant. Amen to that. We should have a professional playback that's redundant here. We talk about the same stuff sometimes, though, so I feel redundant. Does that count?
Which Mike Brokaw, though? There's some that are dead. Which Mike Brokaw are you talking about?
Probably the dead one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of the same vibe, I guess. All right. Morning, Eric. Oh, I got it right. There's proof right there.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Dr. Dan in the house. How are you, Dr. Dan? All right. Let's open us up in some prayer, and let's get into this topic about our visions for the future. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for all those watching, all those that watch in the future and beyond. And I ask that you bless them, Lord. I ask that you be with them, be with their families, be with their future view. Allow them to have a vision that aligns with your will. It's these things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
Yeah, we're
Verse
talking
for
about
us today.
the essential steps for your service business, right? I feel like I've got an echo somewhere. This is really weird.
That's in your head.
Heh, I got headphones on. So essential steps for your service repair business, right? Talking about creating your business roadmap. So I think Psalm 37, 23, and 24 works good. The steps of a man are established by the Lord. When he delights in his way, though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. Yeah, I think that just fits pretty well.
That's a very fitting verse.
It is. It is. Kicks it off well. Why? I was just gonna say, why is having a clear roadmap? Why is that essential for businesses? What's your thoughts on that? And post a comment if you'd like to say something about that. Why is having a clear roadmap essential for your business? As we get going here, that's the question.
Well, I think let's focus on the vision. If you don't have a vision, you can't create a roadmap.
Habakkuk 2 and 2. Write the vision down, make it plain for all to see.
That's a perfect verse.
Right. Yeah.
Write it down, make it clear for all to see. So if you can't do that unless you have a clear vision, right?
Yeah.
So how can you have a roadmap without the vision? And then the next step is your roadmap is the reverse engineering from where you're at to where you want to be. And that's what the roadmap should entail. It's your plan on how to get there.
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
We
got some takeaways for you guys today.
Yep. Give me a teaser.
All right. Give you a teaser?
Give me a teaser of some takeaways.
Well,
you need help?
It helps you. A roadmap helps you stay focused.
Roadmap does, yeah.
It helps you allocate resources effectively, and it's a map to measure success. We've been talking about measurements and all that stuff, and your KPIs. We talk about this stuff all the time, but how do you actually implement an entirety of a roadmap? And that's what I want to talk about today. Because a lot of people, we could talk about KPIs, you can talk about all this stuff, but then it's how do you implement this stuff and how do you start actually taking action? And that, I think that's the most important thing for any business to do. Because if you don't take action, you can have plans all day long, but it's the action that counts.
Yeah.
You never get any progress if you don't take action and start implementing. And that's where most business owners fail. So how do you guys plan? Go ahead and put it in the chat. If you're not driving, go ahead and put it in the chat. I want to hear how many of you guys actually have a roadmap. Put a number 1 in the chat. Something simple. If you've got a roadmap and a vision for your business, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2.
I used to use roadmaps, but then I started using my GPS. But I have a very complicated relationship with my GPS. It drives me crazy. But I'm interested.
You got to have the dad jokes in there. We've got a couple of ones start popping in.
Mr. Valenti's comment, keynote speaker, say your goal out loud. Is that from Asti? Is that from Asti? I don't know. Say your goal out loud. Goal.
EJ said he's 1.5.
Yep.
All right. Adam's got some work to do. He's number 2.
I will say this, without a roadmap.
Number 1. JP's number one.
Number one, getting a lot of
And
1.5.
Ibsen's only at half.
Without a roadmap, you can definitely get burned out. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't take time, all right, we're in the slow season, guys. If you're not taking time right now in the slow season to plan your business, especially at the beginning of the year, in the first month of the year, you're doing something wrong. You are ignoring everything that's going to happen for the rest of the year and beyond. And if you don't take time right now and start doing something about it and writing it down and making your plans and making your goals and visions, you are not going to get any further than you are right now. You may even go backwards. It's just a simple fact of the matter of how this works. And I want to start by encouraging you to start doing some of these things. So if you don't stay focused, how can you implement your resources? How can you measure your success? If it's like that quote, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Common fears to barriers are obviously analysis paralysis and the fear of failure. Just there's no such thing as fear of failure. There's no such thing as analysis paralysis in my mind anyway. All right. You either do or you don't. It's that simple. Everything else is just in your head. Get out of your head and just start doing. Just you'll learn along the way. There's no set system that you can put in place that's going to get you out of your own head.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster you start doing something, the faster you'll start making progress.
Okay. I mean, if I may, think about when you go out on a job, right? Do you just go out and wing it? Or do you have an actual plan for when you're getting into the house? Do you have a plan for how you get to the house, how you approach the house, when you get into the house, how you talk to the customers, the questions you're going to ask, right? Or do you just jump out there and be like, whatever happens, happens, right? I'll tell you this, from having an actual plan, even just a small roadmap into this section, it can make a huge difference in your service call, to be able to help provide them solutions and offer things to make their home safer, more comfortable. You always hear me preach about that. So even a small roadmap like that, getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, something that works for me. I've got it here on my desk. I got every day or every other day, depending on what I've got going on. Will take a notepad and I will literally just write down my tasks. And I make this huge list of all this stuff that I have to get done.
Mm.
And then if I look at that a day or two later and I don't have stuff crossed off, I make time to work on that list.
Yeah.
And then I start crossing off all the easiest things that I can do. I take care of whatever's the smallest incremental thing for me to take care of. I start knocking those out, because if you start knocking out the easy stuff, you won't have any hard stuff. And then once you start crossing things off and checking those boxes, then you start seeing progress visually. You start feeling better about what you're doing. And for me, that works really well.
Yeah.
You may have different methods. I don't care what your method is, as long as you're doing something. But if you're not seeing some sort of visual and mental progress, then it affects you negatively, right?
Yeah.
It kind of holds you back and you feel disappointed in yourself and you feel like, oh my God. And you look at this list and you're like, I'm overwhelmed with all the crap that I have to do. And that's why I'm saying you start with the easy things first and you just go out and get it done. How many times have you guys looked at your trucks and your service vehicles and said, I need to go out there and clean it, or I need to clean up, whatever room you use for storage, whether it's your garage or an office, whatever it is. I need to do this, but it's just so overwhelming and I just don't feel like it. And you feel bummed out, right?
Yeah.
And you feel negative about it. I was that way about my office. And finally I was like, this has to get done,
Yep.
and the feeling that you have once you get that done, and then you're like, I am never going to let it get this bad again. And then you let it get that bad again. We all do it, right? We're
Yeah.
all slobs in our own way. But
It
um
I
this
always,
is
you hear the old, how do you eat an apple one bite at a time? You know, yeah, going through this a little
it's
bit right
how do you
now
eat an
is
elephant?
how do you eat an elephant? Well, same thing with an apple. How you eat an apple one bite at a time. It's a little bit at a time, right? So we got somebody going through this. How do I get through all this stuff, right? Well, it's make you 3 piles, when you're cleaning out stuff. Stuff you're gonna keep, stuff you're gonna donate, stuff you're just gonna get rid of, right? So little stuff. I was trying to look for it. I've got I was given, one of the old school notebooks that has your, legal size pad and paper or your pen and paper in it. It's leather bound on the front of it. One of my absolute favorite quotes: "Plan or be planned for." That
Absolutely.
Those simple words just have so much, taking control of your business by, being proactive rather than reactive. That's a huge, huge part of it. You know, setting clear goals, anticipating challenges. We talk about all the time, optimizing your processes, getting your processes clear, managing your finances effectively. Man, that's a huge one. So plan or be planned for. By planning ahead, you can ensure that steady growth, staying ahead of your competitors or staying ahead of yourself, responding to quickly to your changes, shaping your business future. Right? There's so much that plan or be planned for to me in the back of my head means.
Right. I mean, here's my thoughts on this, guys. If you need to do something, obviously, to move your business forward, but you also need to do some of these little things that are going to make you feel empowered and make you feel like you're accomplished, right? Like you actually accomplished something. So how do we do that? You need to look at your business and look at everything that you do. And this is basically an exercise you can do that's going to make things a lot more clear for you. Write down a bunch of stuff you do, a bunch of stuff that you need to do. Make 2 lists: stuff that you do already and then stuff that you need to get done. And then start looking at that list and start looking at the first list of things that you do.
Mhm.
How much of those things that you're doing are a waste of your time and not moving your business forward? And then start looking at what tasks on that list are absolutely necessary to run your business, and then eliminate all the rest.
Mhm.
Just eliminate them. I don't need to do this, or outsource it if it's necessary. If you can outsource it and you can afford to outsource it, just take it off your plate. Give it to somebody else. Um, pass that buck along and have an employee do it. Have someone other than yourself doing it,
Yeah.
and it'll free up your time so you can focus on what actually matters, and that's what you need to do. And then look at all the things that you need to do, your task list, and then see what is on there that aligns with whatever's left over from the first list, and then start knocking those things out, and the
Yeah.
rest can wait. Or you'll ultimately end up eliminating some of those things from your list. And you'd be surprised by doing this exercise at how effective you can be at getting things done and knocking things out and realizing what you're wasting your time on and what you're not.
Mhm.
And it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of what we do moves 80% of our business forward. And 80% of what we do doesn't move any needle at all. So
Yeah.
why even do it? Why even focus on those things? So if you can't move your business forward with what you want to do, what you need to do is just start eliminating that stuff. This is why we have SMART goals. We preach about this all the time. Um, one thing Andrew said here that I like is it's easier when you're celebrating. When you're knocking those things off, you can celebrate,
Mhm.
right? Even if it's a mini celebration in your head, I don't care. Um, all right, so SMART goals. Make sure you're using SMART goals. Um, make sure they're measurable, all that stuff. Um, start recording actual dates that you need to get these things done by. I am a big procrastinator. Let's and I will put something off until the last minute. So when I set a goal for myself, I make sure that I set that date well ahead of what it needs to be done. And that pushes me to get it done sooner and gives me a buffer so I'm not scrambling at the last minute to get things done. Um I found that to be very, very fruitful.
Yeah.
How do you do your tasks, Jason? Like, do you have a process on how you handle that internally?
Well, I tell you, you said writing things down earlier. I got a couple of these new books from Asti, and especially lately, it's just been I put it in here, I don't forget it. I've got notes on my phone as well that I utilize notes like crazy, and then I've got my own personal calendar that I use that's online that I can share between Shane and I, and then we have an assistant that can see all that as well. So between those 3 things, I usually am pretty covered. You know, if I forget something, well, it's probably not in one of those 3 areas.
But
So,
that's just
yeah,
it. You mentioned a key thing. You have an assistant. So
yeah,
you're offloading a lot of those remedial tasks, those low levels, low skill tasks that practically anybody can do but you. You know,
yeah,
um, or practically anyone can do besides you.
yeah,
So those are the ones that you need to just eliminate because
yeah,
we spend so much time thinking I'm the only one that can handle this, and that's a bunch of crap.
yeah,
And it took me so long to get that out of my head. Like, no, I know what I'm doing. No one else is going to know what I do. And the minute that you start thinking that you're irreplaceable in
mhm,
any way, shape, or form, you are dead wrong. You
yeah,
can replace yourself at any moment or pieces of yourself at any moment. And when you start thinking along those lines, you can start reaching your vision. You can start reaching your goals. You can start knocking out things that have just been hanging on forever. Delegation
delegate.
is huge. JP said delegate. Delegation is a huge thing. And it's one of the hardest things that you can implement in your business in the beginning because it's hard to trust people.
100%. You've probably heard me say this before, but there's a business coach that we know and we've worked with in the past, and his big thing is if you are under $2 million in total revenue, right? Your gross revenue. If you're under $2 million, then you should be delegating as much as you can or hiring out as much as you can. And that can be tough because as a small business, you want to hang on to every penny that you can. But think about that. Phones, great aspect. If you're out in the field, got your hands in a compressor, you're up in an attic crawling around, you're, working on a toilet and you got your hands dirty, why in the world would you want to stop to answer that phone, to take a service call while you're on a service call, right? Have somebody answering your phones. Take that little step off your plate. Bookkeeping. Why are you doing your bookkeeping, right? You put your little stuff in. You, there are so many little things that you can hire out um, that can free up your time so you can do what you do best, and that's helping your customer. So, yeah. So if you're
Yeah.
under
And
two
the best
million,
time to do it is now when it's slow.
yeah,
All right.
1000%.
I am way off the rails on our notes. So I'm going
This
to have
this
to
whole
get back.
thing is just yeah, we're way off of everything. So
But that's okay because
that's
this
okay.
is something that I'm passionate about. And
I couldn't tell. Couldn't tell. I haven't really said much. I'm just kind of like you're rolling with it. It's good. It's good meat. It's like, I'm listening to my pastor on Sunday. Preach, brother, preach.
All right. With that being said,
Wait,
take us through one of the next points.
I was reading a note down here. Did I look like Sleepy Joe there a while ago? Like I wasn't like
No.
no.
Which note?
Oh crud! What?
Which note were you reading?
Oh, I was going through the core elements there. What's your why, right? Yeah, focusing on what's your why. Why are you in business? What are you doing here? That's a question that if you haven't figured out before you do it, whew, and then breaks back down to your core values, your core purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? Right? Well, I was an electrician for 25 years. It came down to this. I want to make homes safer and more comfortable. You hear me say it time and time again. Find your why. And once that why stops being your why, then you might want to look at something else. Just easy to say that. If you're out there and you're getting burned out, like we talked about earlier, and you're getting burned out on, like I was, crawling around in attics and crawl spaces, it's time to find a different why, right? Time to find somebody else to take over doing what you're doing, and then you go back to running the business. I commend EJ for what he's doing right now. He's building this business and building a legacy, right, that he can pass down to his own. And there's another why, right? He's found another why. I see it. I don't know if he sees it, but and when I talk to him, he's coming to the office next week in Shaparba from Service Works. They're coming and going to be visiting the office next week. And just to see his why in my mind change, I think it's great. So, what's your why? What are you doing?
But it's real key, and this goes along with Andrew's comment. I think a lot of people forget why you started. Doesn't have to be why you still do. Things change over time.
100%.
And it should change over time because your mindset should change over time. And that's just personal growth along the way. And you can redefine yourself at any moment, and redefine your business at any moment. And that's okay to do that. You're always going to evolve. Just because you set something down and write something down doesn't mean it's never going to change.
Yeah.
But you need to write it down so at least you can start planning and then make those shifts along the way. Because if you never start moving towards that initial goal and vision, you're never going to know if it was the right vision or goal.
Yeah. Visions and goals. Man, Habakkuk 2 and 2 is just sticking in my head now. I'm gonna have to write that one down somewhere here.
So how do you break your big goals into smaller actionable steps?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. If your goal is to hire 2 techs in a year, start with a monthly hiring budget. Job postings and training programs. These should be a part of your SOPs, whether you think you need them or not. You should always have this stuff prepared in advance. Start having documents, have a repository of all your SOPs and documents, and have that stuff ready to go. Because if you can't see that in your SOPs and you're not thinking that far ahead, maybe you're a one-man show and you have no current vision for expanding. Why not have this stuff in your library ready to go in case you change your mind at a moment's notice, and then you're ready?
Yeah.
And I could lay money, once you start working on your SOPs, you're going to start changing your mind on a lot of stuff. You're going to see vision and have a vision for your company that you never had before.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, wow, I think I can grow this thing. Maybe it's not as hard as I thought it would be. And, we all know owning a business is a pain in the ass, no matter what business it is.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass. And you don't realize it until you actually start it, how hard it's going to be. Right. And I tell people I work 80 hours a week because I'm a business owner, but sometimes I get to choose which 80.
Yeah.
And I love that statement, right?
100%. I tell you,
So
I've had the opportunity to go do some other work, and it falters every time because I know God's got a different plan, and I just gotta sit back and trust God. And, adding to this with EJ here, absolutely, my why was to add service and trust back to home appliance service. Now it's also adding value to my team's life. And sometimes I will say this, I'm in this shoe right now. The former will be greater than the latter, right? We hear that from the Bible. Sometimes you got to see when you're in the way and you got to step out of the way. Um, my son, oh, he's got a brilliant mind. I'm saying this publicly, Austin, so you can use this against me one day if I say something different, but he's got a brilliant mind for business. And I get so many compliments on him. I heard so many good things from Asti about how well he did in the his two talks that he did, one for me. I'm very proud of my son. I'll tell you that publicly. I'm very proud. You're using this, right, Austin? And sometimes you got to see that I'm in his way. I'm in the next generation's way. My electrical business was a third generation family owned business, and it started with Shayna's grandfather. Well, Red was old school. He accepted vegetables for payment sometimes, even though he had an immaculate, incredible garden. Roy, Shayna's dad, was old school, pen and paper. Then he went to Excel spreadsheets. When Shayna and I came into the business, we started changing things over to QuickBooks and then to Google Calendar and then House Call Pro. And, you know, it was being able to step aside generation to generation to create the next legacy, right? So think about that. When you get to a point, are you in the way of your business going to the next level? And what does that look like? And what do you need to do to step out of the way?
and it's
Yeah,
a hard reality to accept, you know.
very hard
Um,
reality.
but I mean, look at the people that you had to step in and do that to. You and Shayna had to step in, and you
Yeah.
were those young, fresh minds that took the business to the next level.
Yep.
Now you need to allow the next generation to do the same
Yep.
and embrace that. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything about it and
Yeah.
understand it entirely, but as long as you can see the value in what they know and what they can bring to the table, you can help guide it,
Yeah.
right? Because let's face it, they are young. They're going to make mistakes, but you're that wisdom pillar that needs to guide them.
Yeah.
Um, so, all right, getting back to this, turning your vision into reality. Um, when you when you break your goals into smaller, actionable steps, um, like I said, if you're wanting to hire a couple of techs, you got to look at budgets, job postings, training program. Um, and you need to prioritize actions and eliminate the distractions. Like I said before, use tools and resources like your scheduling apps, different management software, accountability partners. Accountability partners are huge. If you're not in some sort of mastermind with other peers, you need to get there.
Yeah.
The accountability in mastermind groups is insane,
Yeah.
and without them, you'll never be able to see yourself in the mirror for what you really are, and that's what those other people can see. They'll see things in you that you can't see, both
Yeah.
good and bad, right? So you'll get encouragement and accountability.
I tell you, Doug and Zach had a great conversation about this on Monday on their episode. And I tell you, we would not be where we're at in business if it wasn't for groups, like the Service Alliance group. 2004, we started into a group similar to this, and it changed our business. Absolutely changed our business. And one of the key factors, uh, they were called, what was the groups we had? The mini groups inside of them. We called them. I can't think it. Can't think. I'll think of the name of it and I'll post it eventually. But it was seven or eight businesses inside of a group of, you know, a couple hundred people or a couple hundred businesses. And we would get together with each other weekly on a Zoom call. And uh, back then it was just a phone call. Zoom wasn't even around yet. So a phone call, and we'd have conversations, and we'd hold each other accountable, like you're talking about. And one of the years we actually won the mini group of the year, and we got 6 months of our dues paid for because we kicked butt and we grew as a group. It was incredible. So these
Yeah,
groups
it's
like this
awesome when
can
you grow with your friends.
change
You
your business. Yeah.
know, when it's that rising tide lifts all boats mentality. Get into a peer group, mastermind, whatever you want to call it, and just start doing the work and holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
Because we're not accountable to ourselves. I've said this all along. If you're accountable to yourself, you're accountable to no one. Period. So you need other people who are where you're at to help
Yep.
hold you accountable, but you also need people who have been where you're at.
Yep.
You need people that can help guide you through that process and that journey.
Yeah.
Um, and they need to be a very good mentor in your life. Um, and that goes in your personal life and in business. You need to have these types of things in both sides. And a blend of them together. So I think that is the perfect recipe for success,
Hmm.
is having that in place. Number one. Um, Adjust your roadmap. You can address common challenges this way, such as unexpected expenses, staffing issues, industry changes. Um, if you're facing issues in your business, obviously you can come up with ideas that you would have never thought of. Maybe one or two people are trying some different things or testing some different things in their business, and they're finding it's working really well. And maybe a group of you test three or four different things independently. Everybody takes a different thing, and you find out what works and what doesn't. And then you can all come together and focus on what really moves your business in that way. So that's what I'm getting at. Those are the types of things that you can do, that you can take action on and actually move your business,
Yeah.
and keep momentum. So you can reassess and adapt your roadmap without losing momentum. You can have those regular check-ins and updates. So
I like it.
what are some unforeseen challenges that you faced, and how did you pivot to stay on track?
Mm. Man, there's been a lot of challenges. And to be completely upfront, staying on track, there's been times we've got off track, but it's making sure that you have um, a roadmap, or making sure you have an accountability group that can help identify that and say, hey, remember that what you told me, that doesn't really align with that. You're getting off track. That's a simple answer to it. I, if I thought back about all the different times we've gotten off track, you know, and how many times, if we had stayed on track, where would we be at in business today? Oh, it'd be a huge difference. So take our advice. You know, that's the easiest thing I could say. Take our advice. Learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, it's I said that this weekend to somebody. I was like, I'd rather learn from somebody else's mistakes than my own any
Yeah.
day of the week.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so
100%.
we should probably wrap this up. We're almost 45 minutes in, so here's some things I want you to do. Share a goal that you want to achieve in the next year with another business owner. Um, Submit your stories. Get 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 with a peer group. Get with another business owner. All of us have met other business owners at different conferences. We've got the Appliance Alliance group on Facebook. If you're not in there, go join it. Um, there's people in there that talk back and forth all the time. That you comment on each other's stuff. Get in there, get connected with somebody and say, hey, I've seen you posting a lot of stuff. Maybe would you be interested in joining a little mastermind or putting one together with me? Just kind of stand out and align with where you're at in your business. All they can do is say no, right? But go ahead and get in there, start getting things in place and start making actionable plans. And you can't do that alone. You can start alone, but it's not going to take you very far. There's a African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I have never seen anybody go fast alone without getting stuck. I've seen it every single time. They come out of the gates hard and then they just get stuck and then they fall flat on their face every single time. So get with people, get with peers, get with other business owners, and that's how you're going to grow and develop a roadmap and have a successful business for the long term and have an actual legacy that you can pass on, or actually a business worth selling.
Yeah, that's good.
Now I'm going to shut up.
I ain't got much to add to that, man. You did a good sermon today.
Well, our next mastermind is February 15th, social and low cost marketing. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Pay the fee.
We will, pay the fee. And we'll see you next week. What are we talking about next week? Next week is evaluating your business. This is going to be a good one. That's our theme for next week. So we'll talk about some evaluations. We'll have to figure out what that looks like, how to evaluate your business, because there's multiple ways you can evaluate. All right.
Make it a great day.
See you next week.